Guys, Chemistry here back in the video. Today's video is what if the Revenge packed down on the caster in one season. So this idea was by Adam Pope 359. Thank you for your suggestion. And let's begin. So I called it the floating rat and the confused maggots. And the reason for this is it was either the floating rats or confused maggots. So these are the teams. I thought these would make the most sense. This is quite interesting because normally we just have the one villain, but obviously Scott or Max are a villain. So episode 1 is bigger and badder. Okay. So this is making statue pieces. So B starts off with a similar strategy. Scott, being Scott, is going to try and manipulate people into working with him. Max still does his villain arc. And the rats lose to bad luck. And I think this would still count because they really lose. So Stacy would still get voted off. So Stacy's still the first person out. Episode 2 is, so this is the teams. Oh, this is making the fault. Okay. So Scott would still try to throw. And I think Scott would actually have to be trying in challenges as well because there's more people on his team, so more people's on a lot faster. Jasmine's the person Scott would be threatened by. And Scott is really smart. But I think even Maxie would be pretty threatened by him as well. So Scott was threatened by more people. But I think Amy is a person that Scott's willing to work with. And here, Brooke, he's very good at this. Beard and Leonard, they still make the stone fort they do originally. Like, Brooke would carry the stuff for them. Leah would be alright. Joe would want to lead her team. The rats will than likely already win this challenge. I think the rats win. I think Scott will be a lot more cautious of throwing challenges. I'm thinking that Scott will throw challenges like every second episode, so like one episode he throws, the next time he doesn't. Because obviously if Scott keeps throwing challenges, he won't have a team, so I think here the Bears will lose. And Joe just get rid of Beardo or Leonard. Because Joe wants to get rid of someone who's not very strong. So Joe likes Leonard, and because it's Leonard's fault, because he tried to use his force field shield, I think Leonard's still the first person voted off in his team. Episode 3 is Truth Laser Shark, so B starts waiting for me, his name's Beverly. And Brick gets away from his pants. And then the second part's getting racing with the Gophers, so Scott was still for about 15 seconds. And Beardo would do alright here. Joe and Brick would be very good, so Brick versus B. Brick would get there before him, Dawn and Maria, Tatum, Maria, Sam, Mike, to go to Joe, Cameron, Scott throws for about 15 seconds, but I think Scott will get there. Lightning and Zoe, Lightning, Beardo, Sammy and Amy, the sisters are fighting each other. I think here that the rats would still lose the challenge. So, who does Scott get rid of? Does Scott get rid of Dakota? I don't think Scott gets rid of Dakota here. Well, Jasmine's with Sammy. I think Scott can get Amy and Lance to be in Donor together, and Sam likes him. And he has Rodney, Farmer. That's 4 votes. Lightning has 5. And Scott doesn't have the numbers to get rid of Jasmine. Scott wants to try to get rid of somebody who's not very good at the moment. I think Scott's going to get rid of Dakota again. They might get rid of Topher, but I think Dakota, she cost him the challenge, get her out. You're probably thinking, why would Scott get rid of Dakota? And I think it's quite simple. at this point in the season, Scott only has 6 votes. And Topher, Scott will probably convince him. But Scott will see this 4-person alliance. Scott and Max are people he's threatened by. I think he would actually go to Max and Scarlet and make a temporary alliance with them. It says we'll take each other to the end. So Dakota's out. Episode 4 is I Love You Greasy Pig. So is that I put Leonard there instead. And usually is where Beardo goes, but I think in this situation they would get rid of Leonard over Beardo. Episode 4. This is the obstacle course with the pig. So throw. Max does his invention, runs across with the pig. Zoe do right here. Sean's pretty good at this. Obviously, Sean likes Jasmine. They're on different teams. And I think here, Leonard normally costs him the loss, but Scott still throws. So I think because Scott's throwing rounds, so basically the first half is the top group and the second half is this group. Would actually still throw. And the rats lose. So Scott has these 4 votes, but same as like Jasmine. These 5. Scarlet and Max are going to work with him. Would get his 4-person alliance. So Scott, would he vote for Rodney? Same vote for Jasmine. So Lightning's have to vote for Jasmine. So these 5 definitely vote. Scarlet knows at this point it's not a good idea. Max probably is with Scarlet. Nobody else would. These 2 don't, and Topher doesn't. So I think Scott will try to get rid of someone who's not very helpful. Try to get rid of someone who's not very strong. So he gets his 5-person alliance to target Sammy. And vote for Scott. These 4 vote for Scott. I don't want to get veto for Scott. Jasmine. Topher. Scott could convince Topher. I feel like. And he could get Scott and Max. So they get 5 a day. They get rid of Sammy. He's out. Episode 5 is Ice Ice Baby. So this is basically where they have to capture the flag and get their team to the top of the mountain. B would still think in the same strategy like he was originally. They would win. The second part is basically trying to capture the flag. Joe and Brick would go out. So Joe would devise a plan to get the strongest members being Brick, Sean, Mike, and Maria, and Sky to go out while the rest guard. Lightning, Scott, Jasmine, B, Amy, and Sam go out. Scott would still sabotage B's mirror, but he has to be a lot more cautious now because there's more people. Scott then accuses B of sabotaging B. And I think considering the fact Scott was able to do this in the original with more people around, I think Scott would pull off the same thing. So Scott would get everyone to gang up on B. And B gets voted off. 6 twinning and everything. Okay. So Scott, these guys, he has the numbers now. He's working with Amy, Lightning, Sam, and Rodney. Because he sees them easy to manipulate. So, twinning and everything. So, this is the balloons challenge. Who gets hit? Gets hit. Sugar and Ella. Beardo. I think Topher and Max get hit. Sean is able to hit Rodney and Sam. Amy's able to hit Zoe and Cameron. This leaves 4 to their 6. Throws one at Anne-Maria, but Mike hits Scott. Brick hits Lightning. Jasmine manages to get Mike and Joe. Amy hits Sean. Brick hits Amy. And Jasmine tries to hit Brick. But Brick dodges and Brick manages to hit Jasmine. Jasmine wants to vote for Amy and Dawn wants to vote for Scott, so she convinces vote for Scott, so they vote for Scott. Scarlett and Max vote for Scott, so it's 4. But who do these 6 vote for? Rod gets his alliance to vote for Rodney. So Rodney's out. Now you're probably thinking, hold on, why would Scott get rid of his own alliance? Well, Rodney can't talk to Amy. And he's kind of working with Scarlett and Max, so Rodney is flustered and in the original, so I think Scott would see that Rodney's not very helpful right now. He doesn't need Rodney right now. Because next time we go elimination again, he has a 5-4 vote, and is a guaranteed that someone will be going home on that team. So Rodney's gone. Rodney's out. Episode 7 is Finders Keepers. This is a scavenger hunt. Hunting for the spiders. So Joe would still throw Cameron. Captured, I think. People get captured. Lightning still gets captured. Cameron and Beardo. Then Zoe. Mike's sure gets ripped off, turns to Vito. And Maria's still making out with Vito. Dave gets captured. Turn out with Sky. Ella will be alright here. Amy and Topher get caught. Dawn, Max gets caught. Scarlett. These 3. Scott still throws. Jasmine gets caught. Yeah, then Mike still turns into Vito. Joe and Emery get caught, and Sean. Brick releases Cameron. And Joe will still tell Brick to turn around and wait for his team. And the rats win this challenge. Which really nice Scott. Now, big thing here, does Brick sacrifice himself as tribute? Sean would go to Brick and says, we need to get rid of Joe because she cost us a challenge. Anne-Marie votes for Joe. Cameron votes for Joe. Mike. Sugar is working with Joe. I think Brick will still volunteer himself as tribute. It looks like Brick's going home. But Brick's spawned the floating rats team. Episode 8. I love you not. Okay, truth or scare. Basically, they're going to each get a point, kind of like phobia factors. I'm going to do that as well as this. So everyone's chilling out together, and the challenge begins. So basically, they have to not electrocute. So Sean, starting off with Sean, he gets a point for zombie fear. He fails the zombies. Actually, at this point, Sean fail. Zoe, loneliness, so we could pass. Joe, I don't know what Joe's fear is. Whatever Joe's fear would be, Joe's definitely passing. I don't think she'd be the type of person who'd let her fear get to it. And Maria not having her can or something. Or makeup, I think she'd fail. Cameron, he fails to go for. Mike could pass. Most personalities reveal he fails. Ella not singing fails. Beardo, have a conversation, he could pass. Dave, kissing Sky, he would fail. Sky, if you such as Dave fail. Sugar, if you're, I guess, just admit that she doesn't like yellow, she could pass. It's 4. So Lightning, fail. Max, admitting that he's the best supervillain, worst supervillain, fail. Scarlett, that she isn't a genius, Scarlett could pass. Jasmine's claustrophobia, fail. Scott against Fang, Scott fails. Simon, without reviewing Amy fails. Amy admitting that she hates her sister, passes. Doesn't like Amy, passes. Topher admits that he's not as good as Chris, he fails. Dawn being a gopher or something, an animal, a snake, and she's failing. Brick's fashion school. Being afraid of the dark, he fails. He fails, so. Because the I guess a 4 points, so rat 2 points, they actually failed the challenge. So it's kind of with Scott all throwing the challenge, they actually lose. So, I love you not. Okay, so Dawn isn't suspicious of Scott yet.
because this isn't the point where she calls him out. So this is where Scott decides to use his item play. Oh, no, it's okay. He's stealing the items, but he wouldn't do that yet. It's the wrong steps up before, so Scott has Amy, Lightning, Sam, Topher, so who does he get rid of? Brick is a goody two-shoes, so I think he wants to keep Brick. These guys, I think he would rather get rid of Max. Max, John, Scarlet. I think he gets rid of Max or Scarlet. I think he gets rid of Max here, because Max is a supervillain. Makes dangerous inventions, but he's more annoying. I think he gets rid of Scarlet. Scarlet's more intelligent than Max, and more of a threat. So I think Scarlet is eliminated. These 5 vote for Scarlet, the other 4 vote for Scott. These 4 vote for Scott and Brick. Votes for Sam. I don't think Brick will want to necessarily vote for Scott, so I think Scott will try to get Brick into his alliance. Brick's a little bit Jasmine. They're starting friendships. Episode 9, Backstabbers Ahoy. Okay, so this is the skiing challenge. So Scott's aim was to go way off. Water suit. Suits to be Brick and Lightning. Then Sean and Joe. And Sean was the first part. Pumping lightning pumps too much air, that makes sense to me. The second part of the challenge would be the shooting. So Lightning would drive, Brick shoots, Scott shoots, and then Joe shoots, Zoe drives. And the others had to basically try and hit flags by jumping off the boat. So there's multiple guns at this point, so I'm going to say the people shooting would be Scott, Brick, and Amy, and Topher. The other 4 have to try and shoot from the back. So everyone has a gun at this point. Scott still tries to throw. Mike manages to get a few points. The rats, again, Mike's point still exposed. The rats lose. And Scott frames the items on Dawn, and they get Claw the Thief, and they get mad and vote her off. Which is a shame for Dawn. Episode 10 is a blast from the past. Okay. So there's a difference here. Amy's still here, so Scott, Sammy would not return, unlike Amy. So Sean would be at the challenge. This means that the dueling of sticks, so whoever gets first 3 wins. So first off, it would be Zoe versus Jasmine. Jasmine wins if she gets a point. Joe and, honestly, Scott would say Sam, so Joe gets a point, that's 2. Beardo and Amy, so Amy, that's 3. Imagine it's Sammy. Topher and Sugar, so Topher, that's 2. And then Anne-Marie and Max. Anne-Marie, I think, is winning over Max, so that's 3-2. Cameron and Scott, so that's 3-3. Obviously, Scott can't throw nearly as much because at least with someone like Brick or Lightning, it's more believable. Mike and the Lightning, so Lightning is 4-2. Brick and Ella, Brick. And then the final 3 would be Scott, Brick, and Lightning. So I think the Rats would actually win. And the Maggots, the confused Bearsley's. So Sugar's not very nice at this point. So Zoe wants to vote for Maria, and Cameron votes for Maria. Dave shucks, so that Sugar gets Ella vote for herself. These 2 vote for Ella. But the other 3, these 3 vote for Sugar, so that's 3 on Sugar. Beardo for Sugar. So actually, these 3 vote for Maria, that's 3 on Maria. Joe would vote for Sugar, as she's least helpful than Maria. Beardo, he would probably vote for Dave, so I think Sugar is out here. Episode 11 is Runaway Model. Okay. So, Runaway Model. In this scenario, I'm going to say Runaway Model, we have... So he gets captured and we dressing up the maggot, and then the Yeti, then the mission saving Lindsay. And Maria, Zoe, Sky, and Ella would dress up. Joe to attract the Yeti. And Max would think of an adventure to try and get to the top. They get hit down, Sam gets hit. The Bears win after Joe hits off the Yeti. So, Scott has his 4-person alliance. And they vote off Sam, like you do originally. As Scott would realise, obviously, can't have, he's out of it, it'd be unfair to keep him in, so Scott wants to make Max in the alliance, so who gets swapped over? Well, in this case, Scott and Joe swap over, and that's that. Episode 12, Momo Monkey. So, I have one thing that's size 1 Teen Savers. Dave originally has a banana, but then gets eaten by sugar. And because Ella never has to sing to pacify the bear, I think the maggots win this challenge. Now, Max will still have time to set the traps, and there wouldn't even be enough time for anyone to get trapped in those traps. However, I still think Topher will be able to get Chris's phone, as this is the point in the season where he was trying to get Chris's phone. So I think that the maggots wins. It's kind of by Scott not throwing, they actually lose. And without Ella singing, Max gets voted off. Which is a shame, because Max is one of my favorite characters. In Backdowns, episode 13, this is the pits. Okay. So, the pits challenge, they have to get out of the caves. So, Scott still throws, but Scott wants to try and be nice to someone. At this point, Scott wants to try and be nice to somebody and get an alliance. So, Sean won't work with him. I think he's going to try and get Beardo. I think Beardo's going to be a person he'll try and get an alliance with. So Scott still throws. And I think instead of Sugar causing the cave-in, I think Scott goes for cave-in to try and throw the challenge. But actually, no, I don't think Scott would do that. So I think ultimately they go in the caves. Now, because there's so many paths, it's very hard to say what they would take. I'm just going to say here that nobody crossed the finish line. And Chris says both teams suck. However, there's still an elimination tonight. Now, this would be like this venture camp where the campers will not know that they're voting for people to swap teams. So I believe Sky would still switch. But before this, the Villains Alliance. Jasmine votes for Amy. Lightning and Joe work together with Brick, so they vote for Amy. They'd rather get rid of Topher, and I think they'd rather get rid of Amy here. Rid of Topher, just because of the fact that Topher's narcissistic attitude and the way he is. He's less helpful than Amy, so Topher's out, but they find out this is a switch teams, so Topher and Sky switch teams. And that's that. Episode 14, a mind's a terrible thing. Okay. So, lightning would still cause a cave-in on the maggot and the rats. And Scott still throws. Maria gets caught by herself by Ezekiel. And Elle tries to sing to the gophers, but it doesn't work because they're mutated. Brick still uses his shoe to win it for his team. Jasmine's with Sky. And usually Scott throws. What normally happens here is Brick ends up leaving. He ends up going back to save the rest of Zoe, Mike, and Cameron. And I think there's too many people on this team not for them to lose. Like Sean would go out to save them, so I think Brick would be able to win it for his team this time. So I think the rats actually win this challenge.
So, first of all, Scotland would get Beardo to Dave and Ella together. These treat Mike and Zoe vote for Cat Scott. Scott gets Topher and Beardo to vote for Dave. Scott manipulates Dave into an Ella. And I think he would go for Sean. He might go for Sean here. I think he goes for Sean. I think in this scenario, Scott would aim for Sean, as he would see that Sean's very good at physical challenges and could be quite threatening in the merge. However, Anne-Marie would still quit after giving the fake a diamond by Ezekiel, so Anne-Marie is out as well. Because Anne-Marie is still quit, Dakota would come back as a player. Dakota's always a cheap opponent for the Maggots team. 3 zones on a baby. This is where things get interesting. Obviously, this is where they give them the babies to protect them. They have to carry them across. Ella would be able to sing, pacify them to get across, to help her team. And they would get across. Then Topher gets chased around by the bear. Now, this would be good. I think this moment right here would make more sense for me to believe that Ella would have a good enough reason for her to sing. So Ella would save Topher. Topher would still get the news on how he became the juice of the show. He calls it a cave-in, which Scott's happy with because he wanted to get rid of him. And I think the rats win this challenge. Everyone vote for Topher, but Ella still sang. So, because of that, Ella gets voted off because Chris said that if you sing again, you're out. So I think Ella would go. Episode 16, The Treasure of Dr. McLean. So basically here is where we have, it's where they have got the treasure. Okay, so Scott still throws with the squid. Joe's able to lightning bricks Amy, Jasmine, and Sky across first. The second part is trying to dig. Scott would still misguide his team. They're digging the wrong spot, and the rats win. The floating rats win. So these 3 vote for Scott. Dakota Zoid votes for Scott. Dave votes for Scott. Topher, but they vote for Scott here. So these 3 vote for Scott. Beardo and Dave vote for Topher. No, actually, these 4 votes for Dakota Zoid. And these 4 votes for Scott. Scott uses actually no, Scott uses else. So Scott needs to convince somebody else. So he convinces Dakota Zoid to get rid of Cameron. As this was vote with Scott or Cameron. Okay, so these were for Dakota Zoid. Zoe for Dakota Zoid. These are for Scott and Dakota Zoid. Scott tells Dakota Zoid for Dave, and the other 4 for Dakota Zoid. These 4 for everyone loves to Scott. Scott uses his idols to get rid of Dakota, actually. So I gotta think about this for a second. These 3 over for Scott. I'll get the Beardo and Topher and Dave. To vote for Cameron. For Dakota Zoid. And I think these 5 would vote for Cameron. So Cameron is out. So we're at the merge. It's the merge cast. Bye bye flying rats. Bye bye confused maggots. Alright, so episode 17 is Hurl Go Seek. So the eating challenge, and then they have to go find them. So in the eating part, I think Brick would win the first part of the challenge. Actually, no, I think Dakota's going to win the first part because she's mutated. Second part is hunting down the rest of the campers. Scott would obviously still trying to get out of situations. Lightning
Joe gets got Brick, it's Amy. So they're all throwing up. Mike, Zoe, Dave, Beardo, Topher. Jasmine, obviously, he's made up with Sean at this point. Sadie's gone. Jasmine wins immunity, which I have Scott. So Scott has Lightning, Amy, Beardo, and Joe has Brick, so they're kind of together, these five. Topher, Dave's with Sky, so this is Scott's in a bit of trouble here. So he gets his 5-6 burst in Alliance. Dave's still sad about Sky, so Scott says, help me get rid of Sky with Sky, that way you're safe. And Sky gets the other 6 to vote for Dave, but the other 7 would vote for Sky, so in this case, Sky would actually get eliminated. Episode 18 is Grand Theft Auto, so Scott would still blackmail Mike through this entire episode and get him to tow him around everywhere, giving him immunity. Brick would be able to use military training, so I think Lightning and Joe are still captured, and Joe trades Lightning. Beardo's not winning here. Topher's definitely failing. And Scott would still win immunity, and Mike would still reveal his personalities to Zoe. And because Scott can't blackmail him with something that he's not keeping a secret, Mike's still getting voted off. Episode 19 is Scott Fierce, so they go into pairs. So Scott and Beardo, Scott and Amy, Brick, Lightning and Brick, Zoe and Beardo, Joe and Jasmine, Topher, Dave, and Dakota Zoid. So they'll be trying to stop the island from self-destruction. I think in the end, the Lightning and Brick would win immunity, they'd get out the fastest, but they wouldn't be stopping Scott this time. So these 3 vote for Dakota Zoid. They get Lightning to vote for Dakota Zoid. Dave, so that's 5 on them. Zoe, Jasmine. Everyone votes for Dakota Zoid as she's the biggest threat in the game. However, Chris says this is actually a double elimination. So who do these 5 vote for? These 5 vote for Scott, but Scott still has the immunity idol at this point. So it's even now, if Scott decides to eliminate, I think I have a group of people. The person Scott would choose to eliminate probably be Brick. I think in this scenario, Scott would eliminate Brick. He would see him as the easiest person. Obviously, you're the biggest threat in the game. He would use his idol to get rid of Jasmine. Actually, he gets rid of Jasmine, because Jasmine's the biggest threat. So Scott will see Jasmine as the biggest threat in the game. Episode 20 is Up, Away in My Pitiful Balloon. So Chris explains the challenge about what they're making, and they have to go in pairs. For winning the last challenge, Scott gets himself, so basically he gets a smoke machine. So the pairs are Joe and Lightning, Amy and Zoe, Beardo and Dave, and now he's still in Brick. So racing to the top, I feel like Lightning and Joe would win immunity. They would win. I feel like Joe and Lightning would win immunity without Cameron being there, crashing through the window. So they win. Zoe votes to Scott. Scott has Beardo and Dave. Topher, he's 6-person alliance. And he gets rid of Brick, as she's obviously the biggest threat outside of these in the alliance. And Brick's out. Episode 21 is Skyfall. Just explains this is a race to the end. The final 2 who don't make it will be eliminated. So this is a race to the end. Lightning is definitely making it to the end, and Joe and Zoe, there's no reason for that to happen. Scott pushes Beardo and Dave to make it. Amy could make it, and I think out of these 3, Beardo can make it. I think, which means, unfortunately for Dave and Topher, to the unfair ruling, I think Topher we see is a pretty fast runner. So I think Dave and Beardo, actually, I think instead of Topher, I think I'll say Beardo's gone here, so I think Beardo would be out. Episode 22 is Eat, Puke, and Be Wary. Actually, so it's a single. So between Dave and Beardo, I think Beardo would get there before Dave, so Dave's out. Episode 22 is Eat, Puke, and Be Wary. This is cooking challenge and the eating challenge. So Scott would still win after sabotaging everyone else's teams. The second part would be racing to the end. Now, I think ultimately, who would win the challenge? I think Lightning wins. So Zoe votes for Joe. Scott gets his full personal alliance to vote for Joe. So I think Joe would be out here. Episode 23 is Back with Talents. This is a talent show. So 3 people can win immunity in this challenge. So the first part would basically be the 100 meters race, and Lightning would win that. The second part is where we have climbing up a tree. So Scott would be pretty good. So for Zoe would be pretty good. So I think Zoe would actually win this challenge. The final part is performing a talent. Topher would be his talking about himself. Beardo would be the noises. Amy would be cheerleading, and Scott would be, I don't know, I'm not sure. Scott would figure something out, but I think Scott would lose. I think Beardo would win his animal noises. Bounce back. So these two are together. And Beardo. So what does Scott do here? Scott's kind of in a bad situation. So thinks to get rid of Topher. So I think Zoe, Lightning vote for Scott. Amy and Scott vote for Topher. Beardo and Topher votes for Scott. Votes for Beardo, and Beardo votes for Topher. So I think 3 Topher, 3 and Topher, 1 and Beardo, 2 and Scott. Topher's out. Which Scott's had to get rid of someone in his lines because he knows that obviously the other 2 had immunity. So episode 24 is the Enchanted Franken Forest. So this is basically where they have to get the flyer plant. Okay. So they're each given parts of a map. So it's a race to the end, and whoever gets the flyer plant wins immunity. So Lightning gets it originally. Now Zoe has the flyer plant originally, but then turns back to save Cameron. Now the camera's not there. I think Zoe could actually realistically win this challenge. So Zoe has immunity. Scott, Sammy and Beardo for Lightning. And Zoe and Lightning vote for Scott. So I think Lightning is out. 25 is Lies Cries One Big Prize. So the first part is obviously picking a random partner. For Zoe, she gets Mike. Scott would get Dawn. I think it'd be funny to got Dawn here. Amy would get Sammy, and Beardo would get, I think he gets Lightning. Beardo gets Leonard. I think he gets Leonard. So the second part would be a race to the end. So basically, this is more of a race to the end. Whoever gets to the end wins. So racing out the board, Scott sabotages everybody else. Then obviously facing in the mud, they would fail, and then they get into the mountain. So I think Zoe is winning. So Zoe's definitely winning. So Scott would get Amy to vote for Beardo, and Zoe would get Beardo to vote for Amy. So I think Beardo's definitely out. So Beardo's out by a vote. But then Zoe has to pick who she wants to take between Scott and Amy. And I do think she would take Scott, just because Scott would be an easier person to fight in the finale compared to Amy. So, third place, Amy. Actually, so would she take Scott? Just for Mike, I think she takes out Scott here. I think Scott would probably go here. No, I think Amy probably goes. So third place, Amy. And then Zoe and Scott each get winning endings, so they pin each other for 3 seconds. My winner would be Scott, because I love Scott as a character, one of my favorites. Zoe's one of my favorite characters as well in Revenge. I really enjoy her character. And I think as watching this series short, I think season would have gone if Total Drama Revenge of the Island and Pack Down were one season. And yeah, peace for all.